My name is Aol. I'm with the JFrog, with a team inside JFrog called the Ecosystem Team. We are a development team which works very closely with the DevOps team inside JFrog. So we are very familiar and are actually part of the release process inside JFrog. And actually what we are developing and delivering are tools for the DevOps community, all open source projects. And of course, we are using those tools inside JFrog in order to develop our own product. So, and we mainly use Jenkins inside JFrog to deliver our projects. And today I'm going to show you a few of the tools that we are using in order to implement the continuous integration and continuous delivery that enables us to get our products, both our SaaS products and our actually on-prem things what we do. So just, just a quick survey. How many of you use Jenkins on a daily basis? Okay. How many of you are familiar or are using Artifactory as a binary repository manager? Great, great. That's great. Okay. So, so if many of you are using Artifactory, I'm just going to go briefly about the common things that are being used with Jenkins, the legacy integration, just to have everyone up to speed, and then we're going to go into the more recent things that we develop again together with our DevOps team in order to enable the best sorry about that. In order to to support the best DevOps processes. Okay. So let's start from, most of you are familiar with Artifactory. This is the binary repository manager. It hosts our binaries, received from Jenkins, store them in repositories with specific access privileges, and enable promotion from one repository to another, to support their lifecycle. And Artifactory supports, of course, many package managers so that we are, Artifactory actually enables, accepting and talking with any of the package managers that you see here. So Artifactory, I'm just going over this very, very briefly. We have the tree browse. We can see the artifacts deployed from Jenkins or coming into Artifactory from various remote repositories through the continuous integration process. And again, of course, Artifactory supports the builds view. I mean, all the builds that we are creating through Jenkins are also reflected in Artifactory to enable us, to track it. And inside Jenkins. So, inside Jenkins, as you probably know, we have a few, legacy job types. So we have the Maven job. So we're not going to go over them. Just, make sure that we are speaking in the same language. So Maven job enables you to resolve dependencies. So you just put here, inside the build job, the URL that you want to resolve a dependency from, the repositories. And of course, you want your jobs to deploy artifacts, so you put in your URL for deploying the artifacts, the repositories, of course, and then you have your Maven or any other build tool from Jenkins deploying from artifacts. And now I want to talk about something else. In many cases, we are not using a specific build tool. Okay, we have our own build or our own process. We don't really want to be bounded to a specific technology. Sometimes we have our own script that create the binaries, and then what we actually want is we want to tell Jenkins exactly what we want to deploy or what we want to resolve. And for that, we can go to a freestyle job inside Jenkins. You need the Artifactory plugin deployed for that. And in there, you can specify a spec, a file spec, what we call a file spec. So a file spec is a JSON file which actually defines exactly what you wish to deploy. And this part actually runs after your process or your build or whatever it is that you're doing, that you're producing, it runs after that. So anyone familiar with that? Anyone saw that? Or it's relatively new. It's from the past few months. Okay?
Will it deploy exactly to Maven repository at the end?
It can deploy to any repository, actually to any Artifactory repository, no matter.
Usually I use Maven for.
Yeah. So if you are using Maven, then you can.
Maven on the freestyle project.
Yeah, you can use Maven on a freestyle project, and for that you don't need that. I mean, Maven actually deploys the artifacts for you. This is for times when you don't want to use Maven, when you want to use a different tool. Okay? So what do we have here? How does the spec, the basic structure looks like? So as you can see, it has files, and this is actually a list. Okay? So you can have inside your spec as many of those groups, and each one of these groups actually define a specific pattern for deployment. Okay? So what do we see here? We're telling Jenkins, please take all files located inside our workspace, inside resources, and then A. So take all of those files, and please deploy them to the following target repository. Okay? So we are using here a variable that we send to the job, and then this $repo can be replaced with any repository that you'd like to deploy to. Then you define here the actual path that you want to deploy to. So here we just put under the repo, right under the root repo artifacts. Then we're taking the job name and the build number from Jenkins. And we're also telling the spec that we want to upload all files recursively. And we want to deploy them in a flat layout inside the repository, meaning discard their actual structure. So this is a very basic example of a file spec. Okay? Actually, like a generic way of defining exactly what you want to deploy. Any questions before we proceed? Yeah? Anyone have something? Okay. So let's go on. Okay? And the same for download. Before we run our build process, we want to have some artifacts downloaded. Okay? So again, we're using the same schema. Okay? This time, the pattern actually describes the path inside Artifactory when you want to resolve the artifacts from. Okay? So this is the path. And as you can see, we are resolving, or we want to resolve only jar files. And we want to define exactly where we want to download them from inside our workspace. Okay? And again, we can define the layout, and we want to do it recursively. So all of that is deployed inside the freestyle job. You download, you do what you need, and then you upload, and it's completely flexible. Okay? The file specs, I mean, it's nice that you can put those file specs inside the build job, but in many cases, you want to manage those file specs with your source code. Okay? You actually want to couple them with that. So it's easy. I mean, you can do it. You can just put it with your source code, and then here inside Jenkins, instead of defining job configuration, you are just defining it. You're telling it, take it. You know, I want to take it from Git, and then it's actually inside of seeing all of that, you're actually defining here a path inside your workspace to which this file spec was deployed to. Okay. Any question? Okay. Yeah.
The usual security, proxy management, nice features like extracting the file. Does it support those things?
Proxy? You mean going through a proxy? Yeah. So.
Or security, I know, credentials, providing credentials.
Sure. So So let's go back to this spec. Inside, I mean, right now we're inside the scope of a freestyle job. So inside the freestyle job, you're not seeing it here, but you're actually defining or you're actually choosing the URL of the server you want to upload to or download from. The servers are configured inside Manage Jenkins. So you pre-configure the servers there, and then you can configure the users and whether you want to use a credential ID, Jenkins credential ID, or a basic username or password. And the proxies are actually, the proxy setting is the Jenkins proxy setting. Okay? Sure.
Since what version do you have the option to get from Git or from provide a file?
Yeah, I mean, it's actually supported since from the first version where the file specs were initiated. It's also supported from getting them from Git. I don't remember the exact version, but I think it's out for at least 3 or 4 months now, out there. Okay? Okay, let's move on. So now let's move on to pipeline, okay? Any of you using pipeline code, pipeline script in Jenkins? Great, okay. So for those of you who are not familiar with pipeline, so pipeline is the new way of creating a flexible build or a flexible build configuration by using Groovy code, okay? So Jenkins is, a pipeline job comes or actually exposes a specific DSL that enables you to do, for many years, and we're using Jenkins for many years now. We always had the unfortunate reality of having our UI jobs very, very not dynamic. Sometimes you want to do things before other things. Sometimes you want to add our own logic, and most of us came with. With standard or maybe, some other creative ways of doing that, doing streaming of jobs or actually invoking other jobs or using other plugins to do this stuff. So actually pipeline is becoming more and more popular, is the latest or the, in my opinion, the best way to actually to have complete control of what your build is doing and allowing you to provide your own code in order to do that. So a pipeline script, this is a basic structure of the pipeline script. It has a node, okay, meaning everything is going to run on an agent. And you can specify inside parentheses the name of the agent that you want to run with, in case you want to restrict it to a specific job. And in this specific pipeline job, we're doing a Git URL, actually, cloning your project from Git, and then we are obtaining an Artifactory server from the Jenkins configuration, a server that we predefined, and then we are doing the first thing. We are invoking the first method and then the second method to both sending the actual server. Okay, so we saw the spec inside the freestyle job. Now let's see how we can use the same spec in order to have dynamic uploads and downloads from a pipeline code, okay? So this is the method that we invoked. We define a download spec, and we just define it as a Groovy string. This one almost, except for that maybe. And then we are actually taking the server and doing the download with this spec. So we haven't seen everything that the spec can do. We just had a glimpse of what it can do. In this specific case, we want to have more dynamic nature to our upload. So here we are uploading into a Bazinga directory, and then anyone can guess what's this stands for? Exactly. So this thing is going to be replaced with whatever it is inside these parentheses. And we can have multiple, and it's like a capturing group, 1, 2, 3, etc. And something else that we want to do here is we want to attach a property, or actually properties, to each artifact that we're going to deploy in order to just mark it. So then we can do things with it, download it with a property, or move it, or search for it, or whatever it is that we want to do. Okay? So, pipeline. Let's move on. By the way, feel free to, yeah, sure, exactly. Okay, so we had a talk with, I think it was Patrick from CloudBees about declarative pipeline a few months ago. We are actually, we've been actually considering, extending the DSL for declarative pipeline, and actually we want to hear users actually asking for it, or even contributing the code for us to do it. So, anyone using declarative pipeline? Sorry? Okay. Okay, good. Yeah.
If you are already talking about it, can you say a word regarding the place of declarative pipeline relative to the basic pipeline?
You mean you're talking about the declarative pipeline or this? You mean where do you declare this? Where do you put this?
I mean, like which of them is more important for you to support?
Declarative or this? Basically, we are working for the community. So whatever the community tells us, hey, this is what we want, we're gonna go and do it. So you can come and say, you can either vote in GitHub, tell us we want declarative pipeline. Till now, we haven't heard much of the declarative pipeline request. So I'm happy that I'm having this discussion with you. So if you guys need this or want this or want to use or used declarative pipeline and it makes sense for you, then sure, we for sure will add it. Right now, we're not. Towards the end of this session, we're going to show you everything that is currently supported in terms of pipeline. Of course, it keeps growing. We'll keep extending it. And just to let you know, we get the request from the community. So we know what to do by asking the community what else is missing and what else will help. The same way that we're asking our own internal DevOps teams what would help. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, and the same for upload. For this, I'm going to go very briefly. We're now defining an upload spec, and again the pattern. In this case, for example, we are uploading only one file. See, no problem. This is the target, and here we're actually renaming the file because we want to have a different value. And again, this is the actual line that actually does it. And we are actually, in this case, passing the build info that we got, that we have, in order to have the upload spec add this information to the build information. Because everything that we do, we want to save as a build and then publish the whole build information to Artifactory. Okay, let's talk a little bit about build promotion. Okay, so the reason why Artifactory actually holds information about the build, or actually the same information that is gathered from Jenkins, is to do things with this build. Meaning an artifact is significant as its own, but the whole build structure, it has its own significance. And what I actually mean is that sometimes you want to do operations on a specific artifact, like move it from one repository to another to support its life cycle, and then eventually getting to production. But in some cases, you actually want to move the whole build, the whole bunch of artifacts that were created together because they rely on each other. And in some cases, you actually also want to move the actual dependencies, okay? So that you have a real clean environment where everything is there and you can run your build again, making sure that nothing else is added, okay? That's build promotion. So promotion is actually moving an artifact or a build in this case from one repository to another towards its end goal, either becoming a, the actual artifact that's going to be released and come to and get to the servers, or, fail as not being an adequate release candidate. So again, the first thing that we want to do is to publish the build information to Artifactory. So actually, after we uploaded and downloaded all the artifacts, actually first downloaded, done the build, then uploaded, now we actually want to create a script that actually promotes the build, moves it. So what do? We create a promotion config. And in the promotion config, we define the build name and build number for which we want to promote, the target repository, a comment that we are later going to see, for auditing, the source repository from which we want to move the whole build. We want to set it as status released or any other status that we want. We do not want to include dependencies as part of the move. We want it to fail fast, meaning if any artifacts for some reason fail to be moved, we want to fail everything fast. And we don't want to do a copy, we want to do a move. This is a definition of development environment. So I'm part of the dev team, and we keep creating, we are doing continuous integration, keep adding code, running our tests. Jenkins keeps building everything. And then the QA team in charge of, of making sure that the tests are running, they want to choose a specific release candidate, actually a specific build that they want to promote. They want to move to their own repository for testing or for staging. Inside the script, we're actually saying, okay, this is the promotion configuration containing the build name and build number. Now I want to add this build into an interactive promotion. We give it the server and the promotion configuration, and we're giving it a display name to make it easier for the QA team to understand exactly what this build is. So we don't want them to see just a build name and a build number. We want to have this build to have a meaning. We want to put the name of the product because they have many builds, Artifactory, for example, or other product, X-Ray, Bintray, all the product that or those products that we keep building together, and we want them to actually understand and see what they're promoting. Okay? So here we're putting in the display name. So the pipeline script is running. The build has been built, and it's finished successfully. And now we have one or more actual builds which are actually exposed for promotion. Then comes the guy from the QA, and he clicks right in Jenkins, right next to the build run, on a small button with a promotion icon. And then he gets to this screen. He actually selected the actual build run that he wants to promote. And here, he actually sees all the builds that our pipeline script actually exposed from promotion. And he chooses that. And he chooses a target status for, to tag this build. And he puts a comment. And the most important thing is he puts here the release repository, or actually the target promotion repository. And all of this is actually populated from the promotion config object. All of this is pre-populated for him. He can change that, but those are the default values. Okay? And once he clicks on the promote button, actually behind the scenes, a REST API is sent from Jenkins to Artifactory, actually moving or promoting this whole build into the repository, which has access privileges only for the QA, making sure that we, as developers, cannot deploy their new build. So everything that was promoted there is theirs. From there, one of those builds can be promoted into a staging repository, and that goes on. And that's how we control actually the binaries lifecycle. Okay? Any questions before I proceed? Yes.
Can I trigger a job upon promotion to a certain repository?
actually you want to trigger promotion from a pipeline job without a UI.
If some artifact passed a stage and is promoted to a new repository, then I might want to start the second stage on that artifact. So I may want to initiate that second stage automatically.
Okay, so actually you are saying whether you can actually trigger an operation by having something deployed to Artifactory. Okay, so I mean right now, and actually we're being asked this question a lot. I mean, right now the only way to actually trigger a Jenkins job via a deployment is to use a mechanism in Artifactory called a user plugin. It's actually a plugin that you put on Artifactory, and then you define that on upload, do something. That's one way. The other way to do it, now that we have pipeline, is, look, you are in the scope of a code. So there is a different API for implicitly promoting for your pipeline script and for uploading and for downloading, so that inside your Jenkins code, you actually know exactly what you're doing. And then you can invoke your own, either a specific job or a specific code. So actually, there's two ways to do that. The second one that I talked about, it's easier because everything is controlled from Jenkins. The second one is more complex, but that's in case you actually, for whatever reason, you want to trigger something, to trigger a new Jenkins job from following a deployment. Sure.
Is this plugin working on a community edition of Artifactory?
Artifactory Pro for promotion. Yeah. However, this except for the UI promotion, most of it should work for you on an OSS edition. So, okay, we have the build deployed to Artifactory, and then in Artifactory we have all the build information that we can see. So actually we can see whatever is deployed. We have the metadata there. We have the general information. So this is also something which is available to us. So it's nice to keep this information coupled with the actual binaries. And of course you have the release history to see exactly what you did. So this is the actual promotion that we did, and during the you can track the actual life cycle of an artifact from multiple builds by actually seeing the release history. And this is just another reminder for the Jenkins user conference, which you already heard about. And the last thing that I want to show you is this. Sure.
Can you delete artifacts in the same mechanism that you showed us? Let's say you have large artifacts, I want 100 bits to delete the whole stuff. Can I use the same mechanism instead of promote, just delete?
So right now, these are the things that are supported through the DSL, through the pipeline DSL. So it doesn't yet support delete. What you can do, I mean, if you, and we are going to add delete because we hear this request a lot. You can easily delete even now by using a small, compact tool called JFrog CLI. If anyone is familiar with it, just raise your hand. This is a command line tool that you can download. Just search for JFrog CLI in Google, download it. It's a native executable for any operating system. You can run it from Jenkins, from a pipeline, just do sh and then run the command. And it accepts the same file spec for uploading, downloading, moving, copying, and also for deleting. So the same file spec is...
It accepts the build info and I can actually delete the whole build?
You can... Yes. Oh, yeah. All right. So there are two answers to your question. First, yes, using JFrog CLI, you can actually delete a whole build or a specific artifact using file specs. But you can do also something else. You can use build retention. So what build retention means is that as you are publishing new builds to Artifactory, you can say, okay, I want to keep only the last 10 builds, or I want to delete builds that are older than a month.
I know that I can do it for local images. I didn't see the option for artifacts.
Yeah.
Artifacts with jars and zips.
Yeah, let me show you. It's somewhere here. Just keep my eyes. Is it here? Just look. All right. So here, you can actually trigger a build retention. So you're saying, you're on the build info, you're saying, okay, I want, on this build info that I'm publishing, I want to set retention, I want to set the max builds to 10, and optionally, you want to set max days, and then actually build info.retention. Oh, and this is another way to do it. Once you publish this build information, it will automatically delete the build and optionally the artifacts of it. Okay? Sorry?
The build info is updated every build. Like if I change it to the last build, it will update it for all builds.
Yes. Exactly.
It looks like repo settings while you're editing the build info for a specific build.
Okay.
One build says 10 days, one build says 30 days.
Okay, so, right. So it actually uses the build name. So if you are deploying build name called, I don't know, whatever your build name is named, and for this build name you are configuring retention, then this build name will be, the retention will act upon it, okay? Any other question before I, okay? So the last thing I want to do is just, quickly go over we would appreciate anything, any suggestion, anything that you guys feel that will help you do your work. So here we are actually describing how we are actually creating the Artifactory instance, how we are obtaining it, uploading and downloading files, publishing build info to Artifactory by captioning environment variables and triggering build retention. We can promote builds. We can trigger interactive promotion through the UI. We can run Maven or Gradle builds using pipeline, the same way that we can do from the UI. We can do release management for Maven, okay, like something similar to the Artifactory release staging or the M2 release plugin. We can run Conan builds. Conan is a C++ package manager that can be used. We can do Docker builds. We can scan the builds for vulnerabilities before they are deployed with production using JFrog X-Ray. And we can use placeholders, regular expressions, and etc. So that's all from me. If you have any more questions, then feel free to ask. And again, I mean, we're doing this. We're keeping or encouraging you to give us feedback and provide us with more things that could help help all of us do continuous integration and delivery. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, thank you. Another question?
Yes, I have two questions. When are you rolling out delete?
The retention?
No, the delete objects or views of facts via the plugin.
When are we going to add it?
Yes.
Since it's something that is coming up, we'll try to deliver it in the next few months.
About the
Come.